hope you are fine. I'm also fine here. My name is Maya and I talk about immigrations. Today I've brought you a good topic, a topic about work permits. How you can get work permits to do a job in Canada. Before I talk about work permits, you have to know that we have different types of work permits. First, we have open work permit, we have closed work permit. We have work permits that you can apply while you are within Canada, and we have work permits that you can apply when you are outside Canada. And that is when you are in different countries, when you are a foreigner and you want to come to Canada just to do for a job. You need to know more about Canada. First, Canada has got 3 territories and 9 provinces. Remember, unlike USA we have states, but in Canada we have provinces. And there are so many ways to get a work permit here. First, we have international students. As an international student, you cannot get a work permit for yourself. Once you get a work permit, you are allowed to work for 20 hours per week. If you come with your spouse, he or she is also given a work permit, and the spouse is also supposed to work for a maximum of 30 hours per week. Given an open work permit, you are allowed to work, the spouse is allowed to work for a maximum of 30 hours per week. And let's say if you come with the children above 16 years, they're also given work permits, and the children can choose either to work or to study. The second work permit we have here is work permit under COOP program. The work permit under COOP program, it's only for international students or local students that are willing to apply for a COOP program in their universities or colleges. Under COOP program, students are allowed to work at the same time as they study. You are allowed to work at the same time as you study, whereby under COOP program, you are allowed to work for the first 6 months. When you start your studies, you work for 6 months. At the moment you start your studies, you are given a full work permit, and there is a condition that if you are working as a full-time, you are not supposed to neglect your studies. And there is no graduation until you have finished your academic year and hours you are supposed to work. If you are assigned a certain number of hours to work, it's a mandatory that you have to finish those hours, or else there is no graduation for you. And if you haven't finished the academic year, there is also no graduation for you. So I think you have learned something here. Let me talk about. The first thing that you have learned here before we go to the next step is that in COOP program, you are only allowed to work 20 hours in the first 6 months. At the moment you start your education, at the moment you start your studies, you are given a full work permit. Whereas there is a condition that you have to finish your education and hours assigned to you to work in order to graduate. If you haven't finished any of those, there is no graduation for you. Other international students, you only work for 20 hours. Now we have postgraduate work permit. That's the third work permit that is here in Canada. The duration given according to the number of years you studied. Let's say if you took a program that runs for a year, you are given a work permit for only 1 year. And if you take a work permit for 2 years, or let's say 4 years, as African university does, then you are given a work permit for 4 years. Under this postgraduate work permit, you can also apply for a work permit for your spouse, and the spouse is also given a full-time job offer to do. Okay, I'm only to advise you is the thing I'm only going to advise you is that once you start applying for any program here in Canada, first thing you need to apply to universities that are accredited. If not, then there is a high possibility that you're not going to get your work permit. Before I finish this video, okay, there are so many advantages if you come here to work as a student under COP program. The advantage is that if you work under COP program, remember I've told you that the first 6 months you are given 20 hours to work, and once you start your education, then you are given a full-time work permit. Whereas, remember guys, here in Canada, if you want to get a permanent residence, the first thing is, okay, the qualification they need is that you must have been worked here in Canada or had an experience here, a Canadian experience here, for at least a year. So if you have those qualifications, then it's easier for you to get a permanent resident.